How much further potential does McDonald's have to boost its profitability? Hello and welcome. My name is Peter B. and I welcome you here at My First Million, where we are achieving our financial goals together. I haven't been to a McDonald's for a while, until recently. And I always looked at McDonald's at this old, boring business model that they just have optimized but probably only have limited more potential to optimizing their business model by just penetrating more and more markets around the globe. However, my last visit to McDonald's in my neighborhood gave me quite a big revelation that there is still a lot of room for improvements, even for a business model like a restaurant chain. And recently, when I visited McDonald's last time, I got two big revelations on how McDonald's is still significantly improving its cost structure. And I want to share this with you here. So one big change in the visit of my local McDonald's that I realized is all those order counters were gone. There was only one small one left, probably for special processing. But the other counters were all replaced by self-ordering kiosks. So instead of customers, especially during lunchtime, there used to be huge lines on the counters. And usually the local store here opened maybe 3 or 4 counters to receive the orders. So now only one small counter is left, but no one was waiting there. All the people went to the self-ordering kiosks. And I ordered also for the first time at the self-order kiosk by myself. And it was very easy, straightforward to order and then also to pay directly. So you can see here there's a touchscreen panel here where you can click through what you want to order and then you can directly process the payment as well. I believe only if you want to do cash payments after you ordered, you would go to the small cashier left and pay there by cash. So they still have the optionality there. So this is a huge change. And there were not many lines anymore. So in total there were 6 self-ordering kiosks, which were replacing, I believe, at least 3 ordering counters. But there were no big lines anymore. So of course this means for McDonald's that they can also reduce the staff needed in each restaurant where they install the self-ordering kiosks. Let's say on peak hours they need 4 people to receive the orders. Now maybe they only need 1 who is helping out when someone want to pay cash. And you can see here the last comment line here. Salary for a McDonald's restaurant usually account for 20% of the total gross sales of a restaurant. So it's quite a big portion of the cost structure of McDonald's. So if they can save around 3 people per shift, maybe they can reduce the staff by around 15% or so. At least these are my guesses what could be happening. So 15% means from the total gross sales, they could be improving the profit margins by 3%. These numbers and information that I'm giving here, I just pull it up through a quick online research. But if you're working at McDonald's or have more insights into the cost structure of McDonald's, please feel free to correct me in the comments below. So my calculations and estimations here are only very rough calculations. So this is the first revelation that I had. That even a restaurant chain like McDonald's can implement some improvements that can have significant effects on its labor cost structures. Then the second thing that I realized is the whole restaurant layout changed. I believe there are more and more people just dropping by to pick up, and there are also more and more delivery services. So, or in other words, there are less and less people directly dining in the restaurants. So usually the seats were less and less full over time. So I draw out quickly the restaurant area, how it looked like previously. So you can see here we have the kitchen in the first floor, we have the kitchen, then we had a huge order counter and pickup counter. Then there was a big waiting area, especially during peak hours, which were full with people waiting in lines. And then in the first floor they had two small dining areas, one on the left side and one on the right side of the counter. Then they also had a second floor with a very big dining area, so where people also could dine and eat in the restaurant. However, with the last visit, the layout also changed significantly. So you can see in the first floor we still have this kitchen at the same location and probably still need the same space. Then where the previous dining area on the right side was, is now the self-ordering area with the self-ordering kiosks. And the counter now is maybe only half as big as it used to be. The only thing that the staff is doing from the kitchen, they're preparing the meals and let people pick it up in this area here. So the rest of the first floor is waiting area. Then they put in a big wall in the restaurant. And on the other side, the other area now is rented out to a pharmacy. So a pharmacy moved in here to the other side of the restaurant, where there used to be a restaurant. And the same happened in the second floor. They cut basically the dining area in half. So one half is still used for the dining area, but they put up a wall, and the other half of the second floor is also rented out to a pharmacy now. And at least during that time that I visited, the dining area wasn't even full, even though they reduced the size significantly. So this was my second big revelation from my last visit. So rent usually is a big factor for restaurants. And at least according to my online research, rent for McDonald's restaurants usually ranges somewhere between 10% or slightly above 15%. For this specific restaurant, I'm not sure. Is it owned by McDonald's itself, or they only rented the restaurant? So if they only rented the restaurant, they were able to reduce the rent significantly. If it's owned by McDonald's and they're renting out one part of the previous restaurant to a pharmacy, they would add an additional income. But if we expect that maybe this McDonald's was at the higher end of the range, what rents usually cost, with the reduction of space, they're probably at the lower end of the range. Or maybe they're even lower than that now. Here a summary of my calculations. Of course, these are very rough figures, and probably the reality looks quite a bit different. But just like having a very rough calculation, if the cashier staff reduction can reduce the cost there because of the self-checkout, the profit margins could probably improve by 3%. And then the rent, the savings from the rent, could have another additional positive effect of 5% on the profit margins. And again, my quick internet research showed me that a net profit margin at a regular McDonald's restaurant is probably around 20%. However, if we can save 3% here and 5% from the rent, then this profit margin could go up to 28%. Of course, considering all other factors staying equal. So if McDonald's is able to improve its profit margins in all its restaurants from 20% to 28%, it can basically increase its net profits by 40%. And therefore, if the valuation stays the same, the market cap also has a potential increase of 40%. Of course, these are all very rough calculations, and maybe none of those figures that I showed here are correct. But still, I was amazed how smaller changes like this potentially could have big impact on the profitability of a so-called boring business model like what McDonald's is doing. So if you are investing into stocks and companies, maybe this example can show you that even a boring company like McDonald's could be worthwhile to evaluate and could have potential there. However, of course, this is not a recommendation to buy McDonald's stocks, and I also don't own any McDonald's stocks, just as a disclaimer here. So, what are your thoughts regarding those changes that McDonald's is doing? And do you see similar changes happening at other companies? Please write in the comments below. And as said, if my figures were off in any way and you have better insights into the cost structure, please also feel free to correct me and write those corrections in the comments below. Thanks a lot for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and especially I look forward to seeing you winning financially.